All right. I have questions about the keto diet.
Yes, and so do so many other
I
people.
know, right? Okay. So here's the reason why I have questions about it is because I stroll through Pinterest and I see all of these recipes all for the keto diet.
Yeah.
And part of me is like, I don't get it. Like, what is the keto diet? What does it mean? Like, I gauge that it's like a low carb diet because I don't see too many vegetables in it or fruit.
Right.
But then I also see a lot of like chicken and beef. And so can you teach us about what are the very basics principles of this so-called ketogenic diet?
Yeah. Okay, so the ketogenic diet is one of the most common questions that I get. Alison, what do you think about this whole keto diet? And I was at the dentist yesterday. Alison, what do you think about this keto diet? Like, I just can't escape it.
Yeah.
So
But that's good. People are asking questions.
it is.
And trying to learn.
It is good. And I think, okay. So the thing is that a ketogenic diet, what that really truly means is that individuals are trying to get into a state of ketosis.
Okay.
Now, what you need to know about ketosis is that we go in and out of ketosis every single day because there's periods of times that we're not eating. So it's your body's backup mechanism essentially to provide fuel for your body.
Okay.
So I've talked about this before in carbohydrates, but carbohydrates are feared by so many people. They're going to make me fat. They're going to bloat me. They're unhealthy for me. And I hope that in Wholesome we've been able to share that carbohydrates, as long as they're the right carbohydrates, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, they don't actually provide, they actually are incredibly nutritious for us and are not unhealthy for us.
You know what somebody asked me this morning is that if I ate potatoes. And I was like, well, yeah, I eat potatoes.
Yeah. That's a very common thing that people still wonder if white potatoes are good for you. So let's not dive too much into
I know that. But I'm
that.
just saying, like, with the keto, like, would they be nervous about potatoes?
Ketogenic individuals would not eat potatoes.
Okay. So then that's just where my mind kept going.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's, what is a ketogenic state is giving you fuel.
So ketones are being produced to provide fuel for the body. Now, in true fashion, as dietitians, we know the ketogenic diet is a diet that is very high in fat and very little carbs and protein together. The true ketogenic diet. And the reason why I say that is because the true ketogenic diet can be very helpful for a few instances, like pediatric epilepsy. There is some great, awesome research about the ketogenic diet for pediatric epilepsy. However, though the pediatric epilepsy, they tend to follow the ketogenic diet and a true ketogenic diet for, I'm just going to say a year. It varies quite a bit. And they actually have lasting results in terms of their epilepsy seizures.
Okay, so they need to go on this possible regimen, and then they only really do it for like up to a year, possibly. Like there's a there's a timeline.
Yeah.
And then they stop, and then they could have long-term benefits. Okay.
Yep. So I'm not a pediatric or an epileptic-based dietitian that is an expert in that field. But the reason that I bring that up is because when I was in grad school and we took a pediatrics class and we talked about the ketogenic diet, we had to create recipes that fit within this protocol. This protocol is so specific that I remember we made a dish that had cheese in it. And because a true ketogenic diet is a 4-to-1 ratio of fat to protein and carbohydrates together.
Yeah, wow, that's
that
hard.
We were measuring cheese because cheese does not have carbohydrates in it. And our professor came back and went, nope, that's one string too much. That is literally how specific it can be. Because you have to eat the really correct ratio to make sure that you are in a state of ketosis. We were making guacamole. We made guacamole. As many people know, guacamole is mostly avocados, but then it has some onions, tomatoes, lime juice, salt. You could only put like a tablespoon of both onion and tomato into that avocado. And you had to add extra fat to it because it's the ratio that makes it in the importance.
How did you add the extra fat? More avocado or a different product?
We used MCT oil, which can be useful in that type of population. So I don't want to drain about that too much, but really what kind of makes me upset about the ketogenic diet is it's not a real ketogenic diet that we see in therapeutic uses for things like pediatric epilepsy.
Okay.
So I call the current ketogenic diet that is quite the fad by a lot of people as Atkins 2.0. Okay, it's a high fat, usually moderate protein, very low carbohydrate type diet.
Okay, do you know like the true rate? Like you said the ratio of something to
So
fat.
some of them, I think it does vary in terms of like what type of ketogenic diet individuals follow, but it's 75% fat, 20% protein, 5% carbohydrates.
That's a lot of fat. In my world, I thought it was going to be a lot more protein just because people are gung-ho about protein, but it's really fat. That's the difference.
It's really high in fat, but also when it comes to that ratio, that 20% protein is still really high for a true ketogenic diet.
Oh, okay.
So now the other thing to know is that when we don't have carbohydrates, what big nutrient are we missing?
Well, you're missing the carbohydrate, what's the question?
So what are you missing if you're not eating any carbohydrates? If you're not eating any plants?
Oh, yeah, you're not getting a lot of vitamins and minerals.
Okay. Fiber.
Oh, fiber. How did I not realize that? The fiber is everything.
Yes. So actually, a lot of common side effects of ketogenic diets are constipation, nausea, vomiting. There's actually not a lot of good side effects associated. Now, the reason why many people are so excited about it is because it can result in weight loss, and often does.
Because you're not eating the carbs, but you're probably staying away from processed food too because of that carb mix. I mean, a lot of processed food is carbs.
Yep.
So is that maybe where you relate some of the really beneficial weight loss options?
Yeah, and you're also losing water weight because water comes with carbohydrates.
Yeah.
Okay. So the thing to know is that, yes, can you lose weight and be successful on a ketogenic diet? Yep, absolutely. Now, but when this ketogenic diet is paired to a plant-based diet in terms of weight loss and weight maintenance in the long run, beyond 6 months, there is no difference.
So you kind of plateau
in weight. And the plant-based diet actually has even a little bit more incremental weight loss when compared next to each other.
Interesting.
But here at Wholesome, we're all about chronic disease prevention. And we've talked a lot about the importance of fiber, phytonutrients that are only found in plant-based foods. Carbohydrate-rich foods are plant-based foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, right? If we're missing all of those nutrients, we're not finding a lot of protection against disease. So the ketogenic diet, if you're looking for a short-term solution and you don't really care about the long-term consequences,
if you just want the weight
if you
loss,
just
that's
want
what you're paying attention
if
to.
you just want the weight loss. Now here at Wholesome, and my personal belief as a dietitian is that the number on the scale is just one data point. It does not mean everything.
Right.
Okay. Now, does being overweight or obese lead to increased risk of so many other types of diseases? Yes, we know that is true from research. However, you can be overweight and obese and eating tons of great nutrients, exercising, and not even seeing the weight on the scale change and still have lots of great benefits. Now, the other thing that I want to add about talking about the ketogenic diet is once individuals are off of the ketogenic diet, it's often very hard to sustain for a lot of people. They often gain the weight back and oftentimes more.
That's pretty common with a diet.
So when we are looking at a diet that is extremely healthy, only produces good side effects, meaning like healthy bowel movements, clear skin, all these great things. And then we're talking about long-term healthy weight and long-term disease prevention. The plant-based diet wins out day in and day out all the time.
Okay, I think that sounds absolutely great. I'm questioning too is like when I'm going through Pinterest and I'm finding these recipes, do you feel like people are actually like going through that recipe and finding the fat to carbs and everything like that? Like, I just feel like you can't really trust that, like, okay, if I'm truly going for that ketogenic diet, here is this recipe. Did they calculate all of this and weigh this for me? I mean, that's what I'm based off what Alison's saying. I don't know how much to trust in that aspect.
That's really hard to know. I would imagine most of them are not calculating that specific ratio. But my recommendation, for example, if somebody truly needs to follow a ketogenic diet because they have because pediatric epilepsy.
Mhm.
There is some research in cancer for a glioblastoma, which is a type of brain cancer that a ketogenic diet can be helpful to.
Yeah.
I would recommend not getting your recipes off of Pinterest, but